Hi, good day everyone. My topic is productivity. So, alright. First, what is productivity? One of the primary responsibilities of manager is to achieve productive use for an organization resources. So again, productivity is important for all business organization. It is particularly important for organization that use a strategy of low cost because the higher the productivity, the lower the cost of the output. Alright, next is computing productivity. Productivity measure can be based on a single input, partial productivity, or more than one input. Multi-factor productivity or on all inputs, total productivity. So guys, I have example here in computing productivity. Let's watch.
This is Professor Hildebrandt with an example from Chapter 8 on labor productivity. So in this chapter, we talk about a lot of different types of productivity, but productivity is simply some measure of output divided by a measure of an input, okay? And we can actually look at a lot of different kinds of productivity in terms of our resources. We could look at how productive our capital is, how productive our natural resources are, but most firms really focus on labor productivity. Two main reasons for this. One, labor productivity for a firm is typically their most expensive input resource. Okay, and the second reason is labor productivity is typically very easy to measure. Now, when it comes to these two units, we can look at a lot of different things. So for output, we can focus on GDP, so that total value of everything that was produced. We could use our sales and revenue as the measure of output, or we could measure the number of units produced, the number of bottles of wine, the number of tennis shoes, okay? And then focusing specifically on our labor output, we could look at the total number of workers that produce the output. We could look at the number of hours worked, the number of days worked, weeks worked. You could get down to the minute if you wanted to, okay? So we're going to have a country A, and country A has 200 people, and half of those work. So we have 100 workers, and they're producing output valued at $5,000. So that's their real GDP, okay? And so we are going to calculate the labor productivity, and I'm going to say the original one, so what we're starting at, okay, for country A. So I'm going to take this real GDP of $5,000, and I'm going to divide by this our number of workers, 100. And so I would find that my current labor productivity is $50 for every worker. So we say $50 per worker, okay? That's currently our labor productivity. But then we're going to have a change. Over here we have country B. And country B has 25 refugees that are allowed to move to country A. They're all hard workers, so they're all allowed to work. Because of them coming and working in country A, the GDP in country A is going to increase by $500. So now we want to see what is labor productivity now. Did it increase or decrease, and by how much was the change? So we're going to calculate our new labor productivity. So remember from the previous slide, originally we had GDP of 5,000. We are adding to that another 500. We had 100 workers, and we're adding to this 25 new workers. So now we have $5,500 divided by 125 workers. And so if you do the math here, we would get that our new labor productivity is $44 per worker. So again, if we go back one, originally our labor productivity was $50 per worker. It is now only $44 per worker. So what does this mean? This means that in this example, even though total GDP went up, labor productivity, okay, actually decreases. This was because those 25 new refugee workers that came in, they were not as productive as our original workers. The question might also ask, how much was the change? And the change here was there was a decrease by $6 per worker. So that's just a quick little example to show you more about labor productivity.
Alright, the next is productivity in the service sector. Service productivity is more than problematic than manufacturing productivity. In many situations, it is more difficult to measure and those to manage because it involves intellectual activities and a high degree of variability. Alright, the next is factor that affect productivity. Number 1, standardizing processes. Procedures, wherever possible to reduce variability, can have a significant benefits for both productivity and quality. Alright, the next is quality difference. May distort productivity measurements one way. This can happen in when comparison are made over time, such as comparing the productivity of a labor now with one 30 years ago. Alright, number 3, use of the internet can lower cost of a wide range of transaction, thereby increasing productivity. It is likely that this effect will continue to increase productivity in the foreseeable future. Alright, the next is computer viruses can have an immense negative impact on productivity. Number 5, searching for lost or misplaced items. Wastes time, hence negatively affecting productivity. Scrap rates have an adverse effect on productivity, signaling inefficient use for resources. Number 6, new workers tend to have lower productivity than seasoned workers. Those growing companies may experience productivity lag. Number 7, labor turnover has negative effect on productivity. Replacement need time to get up to speed. Number 8, layoffs often affect productivity. The effect can be positive and negative. Number 9, design of the workspace can impact productivity. For example, having tools and other works items within easy reach can positively impact productivity. Alright, the last one, number 10, incentive plans that reward productivity increases can boost productivity, and there are still other factors that affects productivity such as equipment breakdowns.